Sensational South, I'm Harish Upadhyaya. Over the next 30 minutes, we bring you the flavor of South India. We are coming to you from the beautiful Vidhan Sauda here in Bengaluru, and our top story comes from this very same city. Members of the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike earlier in the week destroyed signboards that did not have 60% Kannada in them. The visuals hit national and international headlines, triggering concerns on what this could mean for Bengaluru's image as an investment destination and the whole city's brand. Also, why have we reached here? Where have governments failed? We'll debate all that. But first, let's take a look at what transpired on that day here in the city.
ನೀವು ನಿಜವಾದ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಕಳಕಳಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಸರಿಯಾದಂತ ತೀರ್ಮಾನವನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಲೋಕಸಭಾ ಚುನಾವಣೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ಯಾರೇ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಾನೂನನ್ನು ಕೈ ತಗೋಬಾರ್ದು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಶಾಂತಿಯುತವಾದಂಥ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿರೋಧ ಇದೆ.
ಈ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಅಮಾಯಕ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರನ್ನ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ರಾತ್ರೋರಾತ್ರಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಎತ್ತಾಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಜೈಲಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸುವಂತದ್ದು ಇದು ರೌಡಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತ ಕೃತ್ಯ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಕನ್ನಡ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರನ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ ಪಕ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ
So what does it mean for the city? What are the ramifications? And how can the government ensure we do not reach this point again later in the future? We'll debate that. We have some prominent citizens joining us today. First up, we have Professor Chandan Gowda from the ISEC, and we also have Mr. Bhaskar Rao, the former City Police Commissioner. He might be with the BJP, but today he is joining us in his capacity as IPS officer who's seen the city evolving over the last few decades. I'll come to you, Professor Gowda, first. How do you see what has happened earlier in the week? There are concerns now that this could dent the image of the city as an investment destination, the brand of the city. How do you view it? What happened on that day?
Well, it seemed like an accident. There was no, there's nothing logical about anything that had happened in the preceding weeks to make it happen, because the signboards which they objected to have been like this for a while now, for many years. And that's part of the problem, Harish, and the unclarity of law on how the signboards must be. Now, of course, the government, after the incident yesterday and the day before, has tried to say we'll have an ordinance to have complete clarity on this matter. But how do I view it? Unfortunately, it ought not to have happened. But the issue was a serious one, and I wish the government, for the last 15 years at least, ought to have taken it more seriously and ensured clarity, because many of the shopkeepers responded that they weren't aware of such a mandated requirement about signboards, and I can easily believe them, because there is no such thing. If you remember, this was fought in the High Court, and the High Court actually said the government could not ask for the prominent place for Kannada in signboards, and it had rested there until last year when the state government said we should do something about it. But even that had not come into effect, as you know. So Harish, in short, whatever happened ought not have happened. But was the issue, was the tension a living one? Yes. And we need to see how best to respond to it, at least now, and not let it vaguely sort of settle itself on its own, which seems to have been the attitude of the government the last few years.
Yeah. Mr. Bhaskar Rao, you've seen the concerns that have come in over the last few days, whether it's Mr. Mohandas Pai, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, or others from the industry, saying that this can't happen. If this happens, it hits the image of Bengaluru, and there are several companies who are still willing to invest in the city, and it could force them to rethink. How do you view that argument, sir?
See, actually, it does create panic among investors. It does create panic among investors, and especially those who are non-Kannadigas who want to come and invest here. But what has happened over here you have to see it from both points of view. I don't justify violence. As a policeman, as a police officer, being in charge of law and order, I will never justify violence. But somehow, Karnataka always feels that it has been wronged as regards water is concerned, as regards language is concerned. What has unfortunately happened in Bangalore is that people of Karnataka, people of Bangalore have to switch over and speak in Hindi to get their work done. So they feel sort of alienated in their own land. And it is an accumulated anger of a lot of people. I don't justify the violence over there. But what I'm surprised is that why was the government caught absolutely on the wrong footing over there? There is a state intelligence, there is a city intelligence, there is a divisional intelligence, there is a police intelligence station level. Yeah. Why is it that they did not anticipate that such a huge crowd is going to come? All I can say that the government of the day has failed to manage the emotions of the people over there, and that has led to law and order problem which should not have happened. They should have been able to rein in these people.
Since you are also in charge of the city as the commissioner, you would have seen the comment made by Ms. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. She said, look like the police were soft on these activists. Do you believe so?
You never know. That is what I'm coming to. See, during my tenure, we witnessed CAA and RC, which was much more sensitive. But we were able to handle it. Why was the police asked to keep quiet? Why was the police asked to keep quiet and be very choosy? Why was only Siddaramaiah being blamed and not DK Shivakumar being blamed over there? So I don't want to make a politics out of it, but when you see the undercurrents over there, it looks as if it is an engineered event to cover up something else. Because the same police force is quite capable, very, very capable police force of handling any kind of law and order. Why was the police asked to keep quiet? Okay. Why was the Home Minister not aware that such a violence is going to take place? The government should be answering these things. And why is it that they have not been able to create that confidence among the investors over there? Same police force has done extraordinarily brilliant things over there. Why did they not handle the emotions of the people?
Yes, I'll come to the government bit in a short while. Professor Gowda, one point that Mr. Bhaskar Rao mentioned, saying that perhaps this anger was building up. How did we reach here? Do you believe that over the last few decades now, there has been absolute disdain from sections of non-Kannadigas or even companies towards the local language and the culture, and that has resulted in that anger piling up, and you have activists hitting the street this way?
Yeah, thank you, Harish. Harish, regardless of how the companies look at locals, assuming the companies are owned by non-locals, the fact remains that the signboard matter is at least 40 years old or even older, I think. People, basically, the idea beyond having Kannada prominently displayed on the signboard, the logic was simple. Bangalore is the capital city of a state. So whenever anyone from the rest of the state comes to Bangalore, they should be able to make their way through the city without feeling alienated. Hence, boards should be in Kannada so that people can understand what the shops are doing, companies are doing, etc. This seems to be very clear, and there was some idea that a rule such existed. And in 2008, Vodafone took it to court. The High Courts supported the Vodafone, saying no requirement of Kannada signage anywhere, and the state government fought it, etc. It just went on. The tensions are simmering, Harish. I wish there was clarity on this matter, and the government had done whatever it has done today, issue an ordinance a long time back, a separate law to ensure Kannada is prominently displayed, because that is something that is irrespective of how the companies feel towards the law. It's about belonging to the place and acting according to the rules of a place. The laws are never clear. And it's only now there is some clarity about this. But on the question of some sense that Bangalore as a city is slipping away from the locals, Kannada speakers, etc. This is again a very complex story. As you know, Harish, initially the resentment of some of these activists who felt Kannada language had to be respected, Kannada identity had to be secure in Bangalore, etc. Yes. They were initially targeting Tamil speakers. Now it is the Hindi speakers, because the changing demographics. We don't know the linguistic composition of Bangalore as of 2021. There is no census. So there is some sense that the new settlers aren't willing to engage local culture. But even here, we don't have clear data because there is evidence that many of the new settlers are quite eager to learn the local language and engage local culture. But the myth is, the dominant image is that the new settlers don't care. There is a certain snobbery about it. There's an unwillingness to engage the local. There's a superiority complex, etc., etc. And these are of a mythical status which have to be dealt with differently. Our legal reasoning can only go so far.
Okay.
So we need some serious gestures on the part of the new settlers that they care about the place they moved into, and how that is expressed is, the many options of seeing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Mr. Bhaskara, do you buy this argument that several Kannada groups have put out, saying that people who are not from the state need to at least show some sort of a respect, make an attempt at learning the language, if not, at least not impose any other language? Because that seems to be the flashpoint in several of those videos that we see. That's happening day to day.
Language is a very, very sensitive. People are very passionate. I will give you the example. The Toyota management has gone out of its way to give employment to local Kannadigas, people who belong to Karnataka. They have given a lot of jobs. Not only that, they have imbibed a lot of Kannada signages, signboards, and they celebrate the Kannada festivals, and they have sort of gelled into the Karnataka crowd, saying that we are a part of Karnataka, and so everybody has got a very healthy respect for Toyota company. And I have myself seen it, because people have always said that the Japanese company has had a lot of, whereas others latently have made fun of Kannadigas over there. People of Karnataka, they have lost out a lot of jobs over there. Not only that, when inside Bangalore itself, when you have to negotiate places, you have to stop talking in Kannada and start talking in Hindi to get your work done. So this is becoming sort of a complete invasion by another language over there. Fine, everybody is welcome. Kannadigas have always welcomed all kinds of people from all over the world over there. But somehow in our own land, we are getting alienated over there. But don't justify violence. What I'm saying is that the government should have anticipated this and should have stopped it, and not allowed a 4-hour mayhem to take place where crores of rupees of property was destroyed over there. You can't blame these people. They're all innocent people who have just been supercharged because they are losers. They have lost employment, they have lost opportunities, and they feel very insulted, they feel very slighted. Those who have come from outside, who have invested, they ought to have some more amount of respect and empathy for the land here. They are after all making money on this ground over. They are getting rich, they are getting prosperous. Some concern should be there for the local language. After all, Karnataka has had 12 Jnanapith awardees over there, and it's one of the oldest languages over here. And many times what has happened is that we have always had a raw deal, whether it is Tamil Nadu waters or whether it is language or Hindi being imposed. And only 25% of the country doesn't speak Hindi. Why are you trying to impose Hindi over there? Hindi is only an official language. It is not a national language over there. So there should be some kind of a effort amongst all these investors who have come. In a very gentle way I am putting it over there. It makes good business sense of taking a lot of local people. They can gel well, and instead of having a hostile atmosphere. See, this kind of hostility is not good for anybody. It is not good for the investor, not good for the government, not good for the people, and not good for the people who have come all the way from Bihar, UP, and other Delhi to come and work here. They feel very panicky about it now.
Yeah, true. You have to respect the local sentiments, is the argument there. Professor Chandan Gowda, we have seen Basuraj Bommai's government bringing in a comprehensive Kannada development bill. Now this government says we will take it forward to ensure that Kannadigas do not get a raw deal. There are multiple aspects here. One, ensuring that there are exams in the local language, in central government exams especially. At the same time, talking about having more jobs for Kannadigas, whether it's Class C, Class D. The government talks about bringing in the legislation and implementing it as well. Some of these might find legal hurdles, but how can the government of the day go ahead with this, ensuring that Kannada gets priority, at the same time Bangalore or Karnataka doesn't lose the competitive edge that it has?
Thank you, Harish. Very quickly, before I engage your questions, if you remember, 2 days ago, the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike said it would take out a procession, a peaceful procession, and not resort to violence. And which is why the chief minister and the deputy chief minister said, please go ahead, but no violence. And of course, there was vandalism. Now, I would not think that the state government wants this vandalism, especially because it's been trying very hard to build what it calls brand Bangalore for the last 6 months. And the last thing it wants to do is to undo its own efforts, because it does hurt the image of Bangalore, as you yourself pointed out in the beginning. So something has happened. It's possible, and Bhaskara should tell me here, help us here. Is it possible that the policemen, who are mostly Kannada speakers, actually were sympathetic to what the Rakshana Vedike activists were doing? It's possible that they restrained themselves. I do not know. But I cannot imagine for a second that the state government engineered this. If it was engineered, someone else has engineered it, and we need to look into the reasons. One. Secondly, what must the state government do? Because really, Harish, this debate is a national debate. It's not a Karnataka specific debate, because the migration that we notice is happening in the country is on a massive scale, from the north to the south, across southern states, and even within the northern states, western states, etc. And it's happening without the tensions breaking out. But because India has been imagined as a cultural federation, where their language is afforded security and autonomy within the national framework, that's the imagination. So there's an ethical imagination here also at work. People from here saying, if we go to another state, we will learn their language. If they come here, let them learn the language. And it seems like a fair expectation within the federal setup. But we have not had a public conversation on this, which any of the state governments, the central governments have encouraged, right? Which is why these things break out and there's unclarity. Because some people could say, well, we are in Bangalore, we are contributing to this, capital of the, contributing to the money generated here. So don't we have the rights to respect our language, etc. See, that response can emerge only against the absence of a larger discussion of federal ethics. Because it's fine if you come here and contribute to the state's exchequer, taxes, etc. But that simply doesn't mean you can afford to be indifferent to the welfare of the local language. And so what we need is the state government here, everywhere, should encourage a national level dialogue on what it means to move into your new state, and what are the obligations that come with it. It's not just about seeking opportunities and asking for your rights to be protected, which are both important, but what are your obligations when you move to a new place? And this, because we've seen what's happened in the South. We are deep violence, and I think we have to have it so. The discussion.
Okay. Yeah, obligation for anybody who goes into a new state. What is it? Yes, that needs to be discussed. What can the government do? We'll debate that, but time for a break now. On the other side, we'll discuss on what can the state government do, and also what can companies do who move in here with their investment, hire a lot of people for employment.
I would like to say this into 3 or 4 political parts. 1, spiritual. 2nd, politics. 3rd, legal. 4th, commercial. That is tourism type. Commercial means not, the transaction of anything, but tourism. The way in which Mr. Narendra Modi has gone for any event, Mr. Narendra Modi focuses on 2 things. He brings spiritualism into that. 2nd, politics of it. Politics, now as you put me the question, opposition is totally divided and each one wants to vie each other for the Muslim votes. The opposition has been totally sidelined from the mainstream. What Mr. A.K. Anthony in 2014 as a Congress leader gave a report to the Congress Working Committee, which says that, Congress is seen as a Muslim party and antagonizing the Hindu majority community. So therefore, that is again looking into play. The same UPA government filed an affidavit before the Supreme Court that Ram Lala is a myth. The same point also, after 15 years, they are coming to the same level of argument. 3rd, why Mr. Yogi is silent for these days? Because he wants to ensure that Ram Mandir should go, opening of the Ram Mandir should go peacefully without any political disadvantage to BJP and moreover, Mr. Yogi Adityanath politically has assured the BJP top leadership that out of 80 Lok Sabha seats, he will take all 80. Now coming to the crucial point, madam, the entire India, especially in South India for that matter, Even the Skamba Ramayanam. In Telugu, there is another Ramayanam. In Malayalam, there is another Ramayanam. In Valmiki Ramayanam, that is why the airport is named as Valmiki. Ramaya, Ramabhadraya, Ramachandraya, Vedase, Raghunathaya, Nathaya, Shitaya, Pate Namaha. This Vishnu Sahasranamam, which has this sloka, is universal in all over India. Whichever language it may be, Odia, Bengali, Gujarati, but this sloka is important. That is why I emphasize that Mr. Narendra Modi stands for Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. Why I am saying that? Today he is inaugurating 3 railway connections from foremost area. What does it mean? Connectivity. That means tourism. That means economy. That means, flourishing of commercial activity. For example, Narendra Modi went to that Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel statue in Gujarat. See the amount of tourism, and look at the Kartavya Path in Delhi, and look at Prime Minister's memorial in the way in which the Prime Minister, Sankaralaya has been renovated. Things are there. Right. Therefore, I come to the conclusion saying, after the Parliament recent attack, the SPG has also doubled up. Prime Minister's security is a major concern for Special Protection Group. That is why today you see enhanced security of Prime Minister.
Indeed, Mr. Rajagopalan, it's going to be a big boost for the tourism sector of Uttar Pradesh government.
Welcome back. We are discussing what transpired in Bengaluru with members of the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike destroying name boards, signboards that did not have 60% Kannada in them. How can Karnataka now ensure that we do not see similar scenes? Professor Gowda, before going into the break, we discussed about the obligations of anyone moving into the state. But what about the state government? In terms of legislation, we have seen Basuraj Bommai government bringing in a comprehensive development bill talking about having some sort of a reservation in jobs, encouraging certain jobs for people who've studied in Karnataka, who've studied in Kannada. What more can the government do?
Yeah, Harish, this request for reservations for Kannadigas in public employment is at least, since in the 80s, in the Gokak Chalavali, we have seen that happen, right? So it's an old, response to how this can be done. But the situation has changed. The government is no longer the biggest employer in town. So you have the private sector. Now here, I'm not in favor of the government dictating a law, mandating compulsory reservation for Kannada speakers. I would much rather that the companies themselves feel the need to do something of this kind from their end. Which is why a discussion has to happen. The state government, puts forward an expectation. Wouldn't it be nice if you did this? Please remember, this should not be seen as a constraint on the freedom of companies. Right? It's a beautiful way in which you ask the company to, you're investing here. Shouldn't you be, thinking about how best to engage the local population? It's not just about employment. It's the design of the office. It's the signage. It's a whole host of other ways in which you express a willingness to settle down somewhere, right? And the companies have to do it on their own. But I don't know, people have talked about, asking for caste reservation in the private sector, and that hasn't really acquired a legal status. If it does, I think asking for linguistic reservation in the private sector may just follow suit. I don't know how the courts will view this matter.
That perhaps would open up a new Pandora's box, especially legally. Mr. Bhaskara, there you have Professor Chandan Gowda saying that probably that might not work, and also there will be legal hurdles. How do you ensure that, as you mentioned, Kannadigas do not feel that they've got a raw deal? Governments talk about reservations, but implementing that might be a huge challenge.
Let us not complicate things over there. If all these investors who have come from outside are a little more empathetic to the local sentiments, everything is absolutely going to be fine. Nobody is going to leave Karnataka and go away, whichever government is going to be in place. People have come to Karnataka because of the huge intellectual capital, excellent climate, peaceful people. One or two incidents like this is not going to drive anybody out of the city over there. Now that it has happened, it is an unfortunate thing, very, very unfortunate thing that it has happened. It has been like a wake-up call for everybody over there. I am sure all these boards are now going to have a change and give little more amount of Kannada visibility over there. That is what the local activists wanted, and some more jobs for Kannadigas over there. And in our own land, in our own Karnataka over there, it's an unfortunate development that I have to speak in Hindi and English to get my work done. I can't, if I speak in Kannada, people say Kannada gottilla, Kannada malum nahi. Arey, mere Karnataka mein reh ke, how can you say Kannada malum nahi? Come here to earn your bread and butter, you better learn my language. When I go to Delhi, why not learn Hindi? When I go to Delhi, I learn Hindi. So when you come to Karnataka, learn Kannada also over there, no? Don't try to belittle and say in the name of...
Absolutely.
I have also studied and worked in Delhi, and I have been in North India for over 10 years and was brought up in North India. But this kind of bulldozing and saying that if you don't know Hindi, you're not part of this place, etc. is absolutely no. If you have come here to invest your money, have respect for our culture, learn our language, and give due credence. Kannadigas are not very, very demanding. They're not very, very aggressive people over there. It is some situation that has just gone out of hand over there, and government that was absolutely inactive and sleeping has been absolutely caught without knowledge, and the clueless home minister has got no idea what is going on. For 4 hours, he did not allow the police also to act. It's a failure of the government, but definitely there is a lot of responsibility. Investors also over here.
Thank you, Professor Chandan Gowda and Mr. Bhaskar Rao for joining us. But one thing is for sure, in the coming months, we will have to see how all the 3-4 parties involved in this respond, the government, the activists, and also the non-local, non-Kannadiga population that is working in Bengaluru and other parts of Karnataka. That will be crucial for how this entire debate goes forward. Well, that's all we could bring you in this edition of Sensational South. We'll be back next week with more stories from across South India. Thank you for watching.